I feel like that the clapping is for me, but it's really not, and it's fine. I know you know this is when the panel's about to start. Thank you. Thank you. So for those, just so you know, every autograph, every photo here at Ace Comic-Con is very important. So that has been a little bit of a backup today, but note that everyone who has not gotten their autograph or photograph with Tessa or Bree, it will happen. It will be redeemed. So for those of you who still have those, just know it's going to happen. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce the two women you have been waiting for. Please welcome Brie Larson and Tessa Thompson!
Hello? There's a lot of people.
Oh my goodness. Whoa.
You are the women of the hour.
We didn't know there were so many people.
There's so many of you.
I think we're still at the point where we're like, oh, maybe 10 people.
And they're here just for you.
That's very
Wow,
cool.
thank you so much. Okay. Thanks. I think you said my name. Yeah.
So,
We're here to ship, y'all.
ladies, yes. Okay, panel over, you're shipped. Cool, great.
Yeah. Well,
All
that
right.
was already established.
Was that,
Yeah.
was that?
Yeah, I just wanted to
Everyone
clear with
knows
where
that.
we're going.
Oh, right, awesome. Well, that was my first through 10th question. Fantastic.
We can dig into it. I'm just telling you, we're shipping.
So what you're saying is Valkyrie has found her queen. Got it. It's what the people want. But
Well, Bree is my real life queen in general. If it becomes canon, that's cool too.
so this is your first Ace Comic-Con. How is it going?
It's amazing. We were just talking about it on the car ride over. First of all, you all are so incredible. Thank you so much for being here, for dressing up, for showing us all these cool action figures and art. I feel really overwhelmed by all of your love, so thank you so much. It's meant a lot to me, and I know to you too, right?
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect, this being my first time, and so I want to say how grateful I am to all of you, from the gifts to hearing your stories. I also got to be witness to a proposal today.
Oh.
I got
No one proposed to
to.
me. Oh yeah, she got proposed to. I was just witness to somebody else's proposal, so.
I will say the two top questions that I've gotten for both of you through fans is, can you ask them to marry me? And each one equally. It wasn't you together, but one would be for Brie and one would be for Tessa. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not how this works.
It actually doesn't work like that. I don't know how it works, but probably not like that.
So down to the actual questions. Sure. Both of you have done so many incredible roles throughout different genres. You're not just superheroes. You have done complex roles in drama, in sci-fi, in comedy. Did either one of you have role models or heroes when you were growing up that impacted your life or career?
Oh, well, of course. Mine have always been pop stars.
Scott Pilgrim now makes so much sense.
I love the divas so much, so it was
You
like
actually just met a diva. I saw your Instagram.
I
How
met
was
Mariah,
that?
and Mariah knew my name, and so I'm good. I'm just still cruising on that. Yeah. The worst part about it though was I walked up and she went, "Brie, can we get a picture?" And I was like, no, I have to do this, and then I'll come back. And I was like, I just said no to Mariah because I panicked. So for anyone who panicked meeting me today, like, I get it. I really get it.
What about you, Tessa?
It's actually similar. Mine were like Prince and David Bowie. Basically anyone that like dress weird. Those are always my heroes, still my heroes.
Yeah, I will have to say Prince is one of my personal heroes. Brie, I was first introduced to you in Scott Pilgrim vs. World. And ironically, it also starred a future Superman and a future Captain America, which is crazy. And Tessa, many of us remember you from Veronica Mars, Mississippi Damned, and the Creed series, which, right? Have these or any other roles you've played significantly impacted you personally or professionally? Some of these roles are tough roles. I know personally in Creed you actually had a physical disability. There was a hearing impairment for your role. Like, have these roles impacted you personally or professionally, do you believe?
I think definitely with Creed, because I play a character that knows eventually she is going to lose a significant part of her hearing, and I think for me, it's something that I didn't consider enough. I think I went through life sort of with this idea that most people hear. Like if I want to say excuse me to someone that I'm behind, I would say excuse me, just assuming that they would hear me. So I think that experience of working on that character made me just more curious about what people are going through in general. And I feel like we live in a time where sometimes we are not curious enough about the other and compassionate enough. So I think that was something that role helped me see in myself for sure.
Yeah, Tessa, dream girl. There's little pieces from every character that I've learned something from. So because part of the beauty of getting to play these characters, it means you get very close to them and you get very close to the subject matters. So whether it was learning about foster care and short-term 12 or learning about women that are kidnapped or abused from Room, female strength in Captain Marvel, I learned that I could bench press, almost 300 pounds, didn't know that was possible. Yeah. And I also have a film coming out right now called Just Mercy, which is deals more with our justice system and the racial imbalance that's happening there. So there's so much to learn, and it's one of the things I love the most about our job is that we get to learn.
And I think that's actually a beautiful segue into next one. When we first saw both of you on screen, you as Valkyrie, coming out in the Ravager suit, and you as Captain Marvel, it changed for a lot of us who had been seeking this, particularly as storytellers, what a superhero could look like, how vulnerable a superhero could be, what strength meant, but also this idea of faith and putting faith in yourself. How does it feel to be superheroes? I don't think anyone asks that enough.
For me, I think the thing that really makes any of these characters superheroes is when they have to face their own fears. And there's a lot of talk about sort of strong, especially female characters, but to me, playing Valkyrie, her strength is really when she's able to be vulnerable, when she's able to say hey, all my sisters died and that sucks, and I drink a lot because of it and I don't know why I'm here anymore. And I feel like a lot of us feel that way sometimes, where we don't know what we're doing and if we're strong enough and if we can do the things that we want to do. So for me, I feel like that's what makes these characters really human in a way, is that they can sort of face their fears, that they can find community, that they can learn how to trust other people and lean on them, and that's what makes them, awesome. But being a superhero is weird because it's hard to have a cape, because the wind blows and it gets in your face and it gets stuck on your sword. I'm just so grateful that Marvel makes us look so cool, because there are some definite moments when you're in your spaceship and you break everything and they're there was only one of those, and you're oops. None of us are natural superheroes. They should have a boot camp. I'm still learning how to be one, both on screen and in my actual life.
I feel like she answered it so well.
That was amazing.
Yeah, I'm with her.
I'm actually going to toss this back over to you, Tessa. Yesterday was National Coming Out Day. And for many folks, Valkyrie was the first LGBTQ woman of color superhero in mainstream. And hearing you say Valkyrie needs to go find a queen was everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. There were people lined up around the block like, I can be your queen. I got this. I'm from Queens. I know this. You know, have you seen an impact in the community and as you've been meeting fans and playing this particular role, particularly at this critical time right now in the LGBTQ community and particularly in the LGBTQ community for people of color?
Yeah, I mean, speaking of like superheroes, it feels heroic to me, all the people that are coming out when they are inside of communities or inside of families where that's really challenging. And the past 2 days have been really moving for me because I've gotten to take so many photographs with folks with their flags, with their pride flags, or with their bi flags. And one woman today told me that she was going to use the photograph to come out, and we just hugged each other for such a long time. So I just want to say to all the folks out there, like, if you are coming out, if you have, I see you. If you have reasons why you're not ready, I see you too. You are loved, you are supported. And I hope that we can get to this space where I feel so proud to get to play Valkyrie in this way, but I hope we can get to the space where we see so much representation that we don't have to congratulate anybody because we know that it just exists and it's not going away. And I'm really proud that I feel like I see that more and more. But you guys are heroic to me.
I love it. So, Bree, looking at your directorial work, because both of you have, like, you're not just you're not just on screen as actors. You both are producers. You both work in music. You both write. And Bree, for you in particular, looking at your directorial work, and this is a fan question, the fan says, I'm interested in the relationship between your directorial work and your work as a performer. What have been some of the similarities, and what can fans expect in the future? Do you have any dream projects?
Interesting. Well, I think they both kind of flow into one another because ultimately what my interest is in the process, is in the experience of the process, which is part of why the two of us got close forming Time's Up, because we're interested in what that process looks like and how we can better work as a team, how we can create more safety, which ultimately leads to more honest, vulnerable performances and work, and allowing at this time when I feel like we're so open and we're growing in what that representation looks like on screen, to make sure that our sets support that. And so having spent most of my life on sets, all of that experience led into directing and being able to hold space for my actors and my crew. And then I learned so much because when you're an actor, you're not included in the pre-production or the post-process. So now that I have that understanding, it's completely shifted even the work that I do in production, because I have a deeper understanding of what it takes to get to that day on set, and also how I can better serve my directors so that when they're in the editing room, they've got more colors to paint with.
That's amazing. So this is a fan question for both of you. Branching out from your films, but not regulated to comic canon, what do each of you think is the best future path for your individual characters in the MCU? So we know we haven't seen the last of either one of you. Also, I know that if you need a cop out on this one, you can cop out on this one, because you may already know.
No, we don't know anything.
No, we have no idea.
Literally nothing.
You heard that. They don't know anything. Don't ask
No, we
them.
don't know. I mean, and I'm so happy I don't know, because I'm a terrible liar, and I would hate to be like, I don't know. Everyone would be like, bitch, you know. So, seriously. So it's like, that's part of why they don't tell me anything. What would we want?
Do you just
You know what we want.
It's like Valkyrie.
I mean, we know what we want.
I know what I want.
I'm
No,
pretty sure.
listen, this is not just because Valkyrie would like to hang out with some of the beautiful, strong, intelligent, fantastic women in the MCU. She would. Not, platonically, on a team-building way. And so I want to work together as a team, us women doing things. in a film or two.
Yeah, it felt good.
Women get it done.
That day with
Dude.
all the women together, it just felt real good.
That moment for so many of us.
And it was that I will say was hard to keep a secret because it was just one of those things you want to be like, I had the coolest day ever. And people are like, what were you doing in Atlanta? And I'm like, I'm just like vacationing there. So I think that is what we want. We want to see females working together, ideally in their own film. And we really have been saying this a lot, but the more that people talk about it and say that they are behind that and are interested in that, the higher likelihood there is that could happen. People are listening. They're watching.
Like right now, they're on the live stream actually listening.
Yeah.
It's also just so fun, like Brie and I are both relatively new to the MCU, and getting to see all of these characters in the next phase that haven't gotten to interact so much get to interact. Like in Endgame when Spidey ended up on my Pegasus, that was so exciting. And yeah, today when I was taking group pictures, I couldn't stop doing this, and Tom was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I don't know, it just feels right." So. I hope that I, get to work with some of the characters that I haven't had the chance to work with.
So, another fan question for you, Tessa. We've had an opportunity to hear you sing, which is phenomenal. And we know that you do work in production and you love music and you come from a musical family. Is there any chance that we are going to have an album one day or any more music projects from you?
I don't know. Like saying this in front of a bona fide singer.
I mean, you
Brie
should just
and I
do a
could do
duet.
like a musical, like an MCU music.
Oh.
See, musical?
An MC musical? Someone called Kevin Feige. I think an MC musical.
Did you just come up with this right now?
I actually did.
Ace Comic-Con,
I'm
where
sorry,
miracles happen.
That's a brilliant idea. There's a lot of people with musical talents. Tom Holland can do flips and splits and stuff. Okay, well, I'm gonna pitch that. You have Kevin's number, right? I only have his email, but I'll work on that. Kidding. No, I don't know. An album, maybe. I just, maybe. I feel so lucky that doing the Creed movies, I get to write that music and perform that music, and I think we're gonna make a Creed 3 eventually, so I'll make more music then, and maybe I'll maybe we'll do a duet.
100%. I'm there. You want it? I'm there.
It's everything that everyone in this room wants right now.
We'll make a Val Christmas carol. I don't know. I'm just workshopping stuff.
I mean, Spidey Bells worked real well for, Into the Spider-Verse. Perhaps.
We'll see.
A galactic Christmas album. So, another fan question, and this is, you can change the time frame, so I'm giving you a little bit because this is a tough question. If you had 6 months to rebuild your careers.
Is there something
Y'all,
wrong?
this was actually the least difficult fan question. Y'all ask hard questions. All of you. If y'all had 6 months to rebuild your careers, what would you do differently? What would you definitely do again?
Wait, like I have 6 months starting now to fix something I did in the past?
I mean, not necessarily. Maybe you don't want to fix something. Maybe you don't regret anything.
I'm not totally stoked about my early 2000s bangs, but is this something we're discussing? I mean,
it was the early 2000s.
I'm not super mad at it, but if I could change it, I would.
Note.
If I could have told myself about dry shampoo in the early 2000s, I would.
Oh, I love when you post your old school looks. They're so good.
Okay, well.
You had a lot of good jean looks and little purses and stuff. Oh, no regrets. That was all good. I don't know. I would, I think we're living in the time, if you look at TV and film, where there's the most representation that we've ever seen, and that's so exciting. I think maybe I would have told my younger self not to wait for that to exist and to create it more. So I would say that to anybody out there that, has an idea or feels like they have something to say and they don't see it. And so they feel like maybe that it can't exist. If you tell it, then it exists. So I would probably say that to my younger self, like, don't wait for anybody to give you permission to tell your story. And it's so cool now with the internet, you can really take agency and do that. So I would have told myself that.
That's really awesome. That's actually one of the things I loved about Janelle Monáe's Dirty Computer. One, because it was Afrofuturism, which we don't get to see a lot of, but also because it was that moment where we're going to tell a story. It's going to be a great story. For you, for both of you, what draws you to a role? Because you are going to be playing a lot of new roles that are like hardcore feminists that folks know about, and you have just over and over again chosen roles that are complex and challenging and deep. Even in Dear White People, that have all these very interesting dynamics. What draws you both to the roles that you accept?
Oh, I'm like in a good mood when I read the script. I don't know.
That's a thing.
That is a thing. For me, like, the part of why I started to get, I knew I wanted to do movies when I was really little, but then the thing that kept me in it was watching movies and not connecting to them, was watching them and going, I don't see myself on screen, which makes me feel scared. It made me feel depressed, it made me feel anxious, it made me feel like my experience didn't exist within other people. And so every film that I've made has been almost like a message in a bottle. It's been a way for me to capture some essence of myself ultimately and share it with the world and be like, you know what I mean? And time after time, I've gotten back, even if it's just one person going, I've felt that too. And that's life affirming to me, In some ways, the work that I do is a way for me to get closer to myself and therefore get closer to the world, to try to bridge this gap and say, we're all struggling, we're all loving, we're all hurting, we're all continuing to persevere despite that, and that's what's important to me. That can take so many different shapes, That can be a comedy, that can be a drama, that can be a Marvel musical. I mean, come on. It can be whatever, but it's all about that.
An MC-usical?
MC-usical?
Oh, me? I like, when I first started acting in like plays, I wasn't a child actor, but I always did plays in school. I had terrible stage fright sometimes that would come on really unexpectedly, and my legs would shake so much that I would worry that the audience would see it. And I realized later that would happen because it was something that I cared about so much, that like every part of me, every cell in me wanted to do well at it because it mattered. And I think now that my legs don't shake and I can like do the thing, I still am chasing that feeling of being scared, but in a positive way. Like I love getting apart and worrying if I can do something that's asked of me. Like for the first Thor, it was so physical and I'd never done that amount of stunts, and I wanted to gain all this muscle mass. Like, could I do that? And Chris Hemsworth is so tall. Like, how's this gonna work? So I love being like kind of terrified in a safe environment to do things that I feel like stretch me. So I think I'm always looking for at least one thing in a character that I'm not sure I can pull off. And then I just hope for the best. And if I'm standing next to Chris, I just wear heels.
I believe we all would. So the last fan question, which actually goes straight to this idea of being very physical in a role. You have both had some pretty physical roles in your career, whether it is the stunts or just high-paced in the movie itself. What is your preferred or go-to physical training regime for this role, or just in general?
Go-to physical training regime. It's complicated to answer that. It's like, basically, my go-to is meet up with my trainer, and he gets me to the point where I'm crying, and then I keep going. And I push a Jeep, yeah. Like, that's an example of, like, don't make a joke to your trainer because they will hold you to that. you know? I was like, Captain Marvel can move a planet. I should be able to move a Jeep. And then I didn't know that we were planning that one day.
You didn't know what you were signing up for.
No, one day I came to the gym and he was like, all right, you're pushing my car today. And I was like, oh no, I'm a sarcastic person.
What about you, Tessa?
When we were working on Thor, I trained so much and like did sword work and all that stuff. But I just got in the gym and lifted weights, and I really like to go to the gym when Chris was there. No, not in the guys, not in that. Not in for professional reasons and bonding, team building is what I like to call it. But also because funny thing, him and his stunt double Bobby, they make noises. That's what I learned, is you need to make a lot of noises, even if it's not that physically strenuous. So if he was in the gym, he'd be lifting like a weight like this big and be like, ugh. So I just did a lot of that. You just like, and that's a good thing for your trainer, is if you make a lot of noise, it seems harder than it is. You know what I mean? So that's a lot of what I did.
Facts.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a mental thing where if they feel like you're grunting, then you're actually exerting yourself, even if you aren't.
Exactly. So that's just what I learned. But actually, I was mostly grunting because it was really hard. But yeah, that's what I did.
Well, I'm going to finish up this final question with both of you. What are you most looking forward to fans seeing in your upcoming projects?
What'd you say? So good to see you guys. You have lesbians in Chicago, right? Me too, boo.
Cosigns? Question mark?
No, you know what? I'm just looking super forward to seeing a woman wield the hammer. Natalie's already getting buff. I'm gonna teach her my trick about grunting. Let me text her now, actually, about that. No, I'm really looking forward to the next phase. I think it's gonna be a really exciting one.
Any last words, Bree?
How do I top lesbians? You know what I mean?
I'm sure the lesbians could show you right after this panel.
Good night, folks.
That's it. Bye.
So we got one last order
there
of
was still
business.
another question?
No more questions.
I feel like that was really
That was
a
it.
strong
I think we
ending.
landed on a high note.
Yeah.
We are going to take a picture with the crowd.
Oh,
so
cool.
if the crowd would stand up for me, please. We're going to get the photographer up here. So guys, act like you're just excited as you were when Bree and Tessa came on stage for this picture.